Can we start? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Beautiful scenery, by the way. Hope that you can focus on me. My name is Asa KEDAR. I'm representing Microsoft security team here in the EMEA region. And what I would like to speak with you today is a little bit about the challenges that organizations are facing with adopting the cloud, some of the questions that they're asking, and how you can basically regain control about your data. And this is the topic of today's lecture. I thought about doing some TED lecture about how life are beautiful, but then I've said that data is probably more appropriate. So let's speak a little bit about what is driving the change. And the fact is that today work is not where we are. People want to be mobile, people want to have access from everywhere. You are now sitting here, but you're probably receiving emails and you want to access your data. And work is not where you are, work is what you do. And cloud definitely enables you to do so because it allows you to have applications always on. It allows you to access from different devices. And it's definitely something that is an enabler for you in an organization and for your business. But with that come some challenges. So you probably heard it in the past that the days have changed, and the days where you had to have our own perimeter and everything was in our control, in our own defending boundaries, is no longer the case because people would like to come and bring their own devices. So you had to bring your own device revolution, and then you need to put some device management, application management, and your data was traveling from your own premise to the devices that your users, whether under your control or the devices that they brought. Now, today's world, the data is going outside of our boundaries. It's going out to the cloud. People are putting it in folders that they know that they share this data, or even unknowingly sharing this data. And this hybrid world is much more challenging. This hybrid world is much more difficult to protect. And going back to your presentation, the main reason why organizations are basically having challenge to adopt the cloud is security. And 73% of enterprise said that security is the main drawback from them of adopting the cloud. But the fact is that your employees are not waiting for you. They're already there. Over 80% of your employees said that they are using approved or non-approved applications. And when they're doing that, they're putting your data out in the cloud. And basically, they can use Dropbox. They can share files today, not even with emails, with other applications, and you don't even know about it. So it's not a matter of if I will go to the cloud, it's just a matter of when I will go to the cloud and how will I do it. And Microsoft understood this challenge and came up with a suite of products named Microsoft Enterprise and Mobility Plus Security Suite. And this product line basically covers the entire security concerns from the identity and access management with Azure AD in the cloud to user behavior analysis with advanced threat analytics that we have, credential theft prevention, mobile device management, cloud app security, what is happening, what kind of applications my users are using, how can I control access to those applications, approved application, non-approved application. And the final piece, and the new addition, and I'm excited to speak about today, is the Azure Information Protection. As I said, my role in Microsoft is security products, and I came from an acquisition that Microsoft has made in a security startup named Secure Islands. And we were focusing about the data, because at the end of the day, when we're speaking about the challenge in the cloud, it comes out to the identity, your users, and your data. And this is one of the investments that Microsoft has made in the security area. Microsoft last year had invested over $1 billion just by acquisition of security startups to deal with the challenges that organizations are dealing. And why did I choose to speak about data today? Two facts. At the end of the day, as soon as a document is created, whether it's generated from any application, whether it's a user generating it on your laptop, this document is exposed. It's exposed to numerous threats. We all know them, whether it's internal threats, whether it's your partners, whether it's an attack. And ultimately, attacks in organization will go after your data. They can try to do it in numerous ways. They can try to brute force. They can try to do credential theft, to attack your users. At the end of the day, ultimately, they will try to fetch your data. And this is exactly what I'm seeing when I'm speaking to chief information security officers. There's a new challenge. Everything was in our premise. We knew how to deal with it. Now it's a new challenge. We don't know what information we have. We don't know who is using this information. We don't know where this information is going. Now, I'm using multiple cloud services. Where my data is. Who is sharing my customer data outside with some external people? These are very, very big challenges. Now, organization usually has some taxonomy of what we call the classification, basically saying, okay, I have internal files, I have internal data, I have confidential data, I have secret data, I have top secret data. I'm not sure how many of you in the organization have such taxonomy in the organization. Raise your hands. Some. How many of you think that the organization user really knows how to use this and identify this data? None. Okay, you're not unique. Yeah, I see this from the cloud. You're not unique. You're unique as a person, but you're not unique in the situation, because this is a great challenge, and this is a great challenge for the chief information security officers. And understanding your data, this is the key and the cornerstone for any security program that you will have in your organization. Okay? Without that, it will be much more difficult to have protection measures in place. And the Azure Information Protection Solution basically comes to assist you with that with simple, what we call the CLP process, Data Lifecycle Classification Protection. And it's a holistic solution that, based on the classification, I will show you how, together with other Microsoft products, and not only Microsoft products, you can regain the control. So we start with classify. We start with understanding what data we have, whether it's at the moment the data is created as much as possible, because we don't want some other users to be able to, or attackers to be able to fetch this data before it's been accurately identified. And once this data is accurately classified, we want to attach a label to this data that will be persistent, and I will show you exactly how we do that. We want to create a user engagement to onboard our users to the exact challenge that I've just described. How do I enable my user to understand what type of data I have? This is a big challenge. Now, I'm opening now a data. Let's say I'm a bank, and there is some credit card numbers in there. There are some users' information, my customers' information inside. Now, I'm a user, I'm scratching my head, I'm going back maybe to the kitchen, looking at the policy. Don't think that that will work. If I'm able to bring that to the user and put that in front of him and engage with that user, I think that you will have much more onboarding and understanding of your user, of your own specific taxonomy. Once we have this persistent label and we are able to tag this file as secret, as confidential, we then can apply smart protection to this file. And the protection can be in numerous ways, as I will show you. Now, let's speak a little bit about a story of a file. You know, we're not talking about structured data. We're not talking about databases or data that is static. A file, an email, has a life of its own. You create it, then you probably open it on your PC, you share it with someone, you share it on your internal repository, someone opens it on a mobile, maybe then you post it to another cloud service, and it's a great challenge to catch this file, to understand where this file is. And if you have an accurate classification and you have an accurate label that follows this file everywhere, it's much easier for you to regain control and to have better protection measures. And we believe that persistent labels provide you a unified language throughout your entire security applications. Now, what you see here in the screen are the different holistic solutions from Microsoft that with a single classification label, you can regain control with different security products that Microsoft have. So I will start with Azure Information Protection. I will classify the file accurately. Then maybe with Windows 10 Information Protection, I can set different policies about what is private, what is corporate information. Then if I will collaborate it through Exchange Online or SharePoint Online, I can apply DLP rules to that file. And if I'll now send it over to a mobile device, we have Intune mobile device management. And last but not least, this can be outside of Microsoft premise. It can go out to any cloud services. So we have the cloud app security that can scan and look for specific files that are secret and shared externally. Maybe this is something that you would like to block. So again, once you have an understanding of your data, you can set up your protection measures. Now, I would like to speak a little bit about how that really works at the end of the day. You know, there's a nice process, but how can we, with Azure Information Protection, how can your workers, how can your IT environment really make it happen? So we start with some automatic set of rules. Every organization is different. Every organization has its own toxic data, has its own crown jewels, and you can set automatic rules based on keywords, based on different parameters, saying if you see these specific keywords inside a file, then automatically do the classification for you. This is a great step in understanding your data because you don't need to educate the users. Now, sometimes you want to interact with the user, so you can suggest a recommendation. You have the knowledge, you have the understanding that your user may not. And again, enabling your user, onboard your user to your project, to your classification project, and allows them to interact so you can set some recommendation to the users. Reclassification. Not everything is static. I have Q4 results. They are top secrets, and the day after, they're public. I need to allow the users and allow the mechanism to reclassify files that were very, very secret on the day, one day, and the day after, they're public aware. And last but not least is the user set. The user can do manually classification and manually labeling whatever he knows, okay? You don't have the entire knowledge. IT officers don't know what the business all the time. Large organization, this is very difficult. So take the wisdom of your users and onboard them to be able to classify. Now, once we have classified the data, we then want to apply persistent labeling so that other products, as I showed you, will be able to apply the relevant set of protection. And these labels are placed within the file, go wherever the file goes, and this allows you to have reasoning over your data. It's not only security. Maybe you have archiving systems. Maybe you have audit systems. This allows you to have much better understanding over your data right now, and you can then audit it, you can monitor it, and if needed, to apply protection. And what type of protection would you like to put? There are numerous protections. You already invested in DLP, so why don't let the DLP stop those files? That's good. You have this amount of data. You don't need to protect all of it. Maybe this amount of data is relevant for you. This amount of data is confidential and secret. Maybe this amount of data is top secret. And maybe for the top secret data, you want to apply some much more granular and much more strong security measures such as encryption. We have in Microsoft what we call Microsoft Azure RMS, Rights Management Services, where you can apply your protection into the file itself, and rather than chasing after these files at the access points and the boundaries where we don't have any boundaries anymore, focus on the data itself. Apply the protection to the data itself. Encrypt this file. Wherever this file goes, it is protected. Now, if you remember those circles, the on-premise, the bring your own device, and the hybrid data, now you can extend your security beyond your premise. Because the file is not only encrypted, you can also set usage rights to what people will be able to do with the file. So maybe I have a merge and acquisition, very secret project, so the management should have full control. Maybe finance should have, could not copy and could not print, and I definitely need to share this file externally with attorneys, with some other folks that are outside of my company. I can send this file in a secure manner, and I can also set what this external person will be able to do with this file. Maybe he will be able to view it. Maybe he won't be able to forward it. Those kinds of things allow you to regain control, focus on the data, and have a much better security posture. Now, it's not only that you protect your data, you want to monitor it. You want to monitor the use of the data, who is opening my document, where it is being opened, who is using this information. So you can control the use, and you can also block the abuse. The file that I've just sent and shared externally, I can now revoke access to someone. I can see that someone has tried to open this file, but he was not allowed to do so. With a single click, your users, or you as a manager of the system, can revoke access to any file, even if it's outside your premise. Even if I have my file already in my USB thumb drive, or even if I have my file already in a computer, I can simply revoke access, and this specific person will not be able to use this file anymore. So again, regain control, focus on your data, and forget about the boundaries. The data is a critical piece. So just to summarize, because I see that I want to give some 5 minutes for questions, why Azure Information Protection? Why Microsoft Information Protection as a whole? Because it's not anymore about the access points. It's not anymore about trying to prevent the data from going outside, because it is happening. It's about knowing your data. It's about onboarding your users and enable them to continue to work the way they are working, but with a simple user interface to be part of this protection journey. It's about having a persistent protection that follow your files everywhere, and it's about regaining the control, whether to understand where your data is, who is using it, and who can do what with this specific data. So with that, I'm open for questions. Before questions, one last thing that I've just been asked to add. For anyone who wants to learn a little bit more, we have a virtual security summit for the CE region, Microsoft, and a 2 hours session. It's on November 29th. And I think it's good for anyone who wants to get some practical advices on how to move to the cloud, how to move it in a secure way, to learn from some best practices from experts in the field. And with that, I'm open for questions.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from the audience? This is sort of like a Latvian press conference, you know. Ah, excellent. Yes. Come and get the mic. I'll give you the mic.
Thank you. My name is Eva. And I was listening to all your story, and I was thinking in parallel, how can I solve some problems or some issues in a company that I work. Don't you think that this would be a challenge to understand which person can be probably responsible for this classification part? I mean, if we, at this moment, we have some amount of information that we know, we do the analyze work, we do the classification work, we put the labels and say to our workers how to work with different labels. But when it comes to new information, for example, some correspondences that comes to company or some new types of information that we are starting to produce, how can we decide which person or group of persons would be the best to classify this information and to classify it at the same, with having in mind the same policies that we used before?
Yeah, excellent question. Excellent question. So I'll start with that security is always a process. It's never a product, right? It's evolving all the time. There are new challenges and there are new consideration all the time. So it's an ongoing process. The first thing that needs to be done, regardless to the product, is to have a classification taxonomy, to understand what type of data I have in terms of if I'm a bank, so it's my customer data, it's a PCI data, maybe it's a PII data. For manufacturer, maybe it's the intellectual property that is the most important for him. Every organization is different. So once you have this classification taxonomy, when you start using a new data, first, if you know that there is a new project, merger and acquisition, or a new very sophisticated and hush-hush project, you definitely know that this needs to be classified as such. You can educate your users to do that, or you can find your own keywords. Maybe it's a keywords, and later on, when the product will evolve, you will also be able to do that based on the user groups and the user sets, so to add some context to the content itself. So then you will have additional layer that will assist you to classify this better. But as I said, it's an ongoing process. It's not something that you do it once and it's always good. But when you onboard your users, when you train them, when a user is taking a high-level confidential document and it reduces it to a lower level of confidentiality, and a pop-up is appearing to this user, suddenly you think twice. Maybe he didn't want to do it intentionally, right? So those interactions with the users allow them to rethink about what they're doing and allow them to have much better training and understanding about your classification taxonomy for old data and for new created data that have just been created. Any other questions?
Well, I have one. It's a force of habit from being a journalist. Okay. This seems to work fine if you have control over the information in your own organization and you can classify people. Obviously, whatever your chief rocket scientist writes is going to have a different security level than what, when the person who takes care of the building writes and wants to order more soap to wash the floors, right, obviously. But what about incoming mail? What if you have a secret project that you want to acquire company XYZ, and that is very well classified and you have a number of scenarios for doing it, and those are secret. But company XYZ comes up with its own idea while the CEO is in Jamaica and he's using Ganja Charlie's Wi-Fi service to send you an open email saying, hey, I want to spend the rest of my life on the beach here, with Ganja Charlie. How about making me an offer? How do you classify that? How do you classify incoming information from other sources to keep that from getting out,
So first of all, the question is what you want to protect and what is confidential information for your organization. If it was originated outside of your organization, so on their premise, when they originated it, it may be unclassified. When it's coming back to you, you can set the policies and you can reply back in terms of whether it's encrypted or not. And if it's a merger of acquisition, you can set, obviously, outside of the technology, you will set a level of confidentiality between you and the partners. But definitely, once you get the data at your own on your own hands, then you can apply the classification and the protection. And if this partner wants to work, you may say, this is a level of privacy and protection that I expect you to work with.
Okay, that would be the email back to him. But that email could also be classified now that it's on your server and it says, you know, I have a wonderful idea that I got, you know, after spending the night with Ganja Charlie, that I'm going to sell everything that I, you know. And that would be classified and that would go into the secret file.
Everything that comes to you
Incoming,
and falling under your classification taxonomy that should be classified, should be protected, will be.
Okay, yeah.
How do you deal that with external partners? It's a matter of conversation with this partner. It's a matter of having the same level of understanding of what should be treated as secret and how you should treat it. And you can definitely send him an encrypted file that was encrypted in your system, and it's just a matter of him for doing some one-time registration to the Azure RMS information, and he can open this document and he can be part of your joint effort to protect the joint data.
You talked about other cloud systems. Is the way you classify files, can they also sort of say when, or in a sense, they're labeled, I shouldn't be here. If I'm a secret file and now I'm heading into Chief Charlie's server, I shouldn't be here, so I will not go there.
So I'll answer it two ways. Whatever is encrypted, it can be everywhere. If you don't have the authorization to open it, you won't be able to open it. If you love someone, let him go, right? So if a file is encrypted and you don't have the access, it can be on your thumb drive, it can be on other cloud services, nothing will happen to it.
If it's encrypted, it's okay then.
If it's encrypted, it's okay. The other part of my answer will be, if it's classified and not encrypted, we have the Cloud App Security solution that can go and scan other cloud services as well. And then you can go and search for secret files that are shared externally, look for those keywords, and you see, 100 files. You can do several actions. From your own Cloud App Security service, you can simply remove the collaborators of those files, so nobody will be able to access them. You may want to apply encryption. You may want to send email to the person who did it unintentionally, telling him that he should change the way that he's done that.
So you could take it down from Chief Charlie's server.
Exactly.
If you wanted to.
You can leave it secured, or you can take it down from the collaborating from there.
All right. Any other questions? Nobody. All right. You all could be Latvian journalists. All right, I think, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
We can move along to the next presentation.
Yeah.